does the world need to increase effective feedback now?
Oh, wow. Now, if I told you that from this person's point of view, if we don't, my great-grandchildren may never survive.
Wow.
It's clear to me that we are more than capable of destroying the world. More than capable. And at the end, what can we do about it? The best that I can do is try to make sure that my relationship with you is the very best that it can be. So I actually believe if we don't learn to connect in a different way as people than we have right now, I, for one, it won't happen in my lifetime, I hope, but I don't have a lot of faith that we will survive as a species. Species die for lack of growth and development. Yeah. Dinosaurs, we see, why do we think we are impervious to that? What level of arrogance leads us to believe that we in fact will be allowed to be on this earth forever just because we were born? God, if you pardon me using the phrase that's up there, it says, you keep complaining to me about all the problems. I've told you 1,000 times in 1,000 ways how to improve it. You just choose not to do it. You choose not to do it. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? So, if you bring it to a more pragmatic level, I don't know how to improve our relationship. I don't even know how good our relationship is until you tell me. So it helps if I learn to ask you in a way that invites you. It helps if you can learn to provide it in a way I can receive it. And then at least I have the opportunity to make a conscious choice. That's what I meant about the MIT story. Had I been given the feedback, Herb, you are a wonderful teacher. We love it. We hope you continue to do it. You need to know, however, that that will not get you on this path. Now you are in a position to make an informed adult choice about what you'd like to do. I didn't have that opportunity. And the number of senior executives who raise their hand when I say, how many of you got what you would call something approaching a performance appraisal in the last year? And what I got was somebody saying, is this okay? And I sign it and I tick the boxes and I move off. It's a tribute to how much we get done in any organization, given how little we do to make it possible for people to use their full potential.
So what are some things that could make feedback more effective today in organizations?
What are some things? I'll give you an example of a CEO that I really, really respect. She was the head of a small, relatively small, healthcare organization. And her way of managing the need for daily contact, daily what she called authenticity between people. At the end of the year when you had your formal performance appraisal, so you're giving me my formal appraisal, at the end of that you had to give me a postcard. And on that postcard was one question. Irv, how much of your discussion today with your supervisor was new information and how much was old? And if the answer to that question was not almost 100% old, she wanted to talk to you. She didn't care about the content. That was between you and I. But she wanted to know why it was that I reported having heard new information today.
That's great.
She wanted, wasn't it? She wanted that number to be 0. Today we're talking about what are we going to do in summary with all the things that we've talked about this year so that next year is different. Not, let me tell you the last 3 things you did, whatever, down the road. It's simple, and it is very simple to do. The things that are the simplest things for us to do seem to be the hardest things for us to actually implement. And that gap is costing us dearly, I believe. Costing us dearly.
So do you have any advice for young professionals entering the workplace, that are new to giving and receiving feedback to make it more effective and maybe comfortable?
So I'll tell you why I'm smiling. Because one of the side consequences of the feedback reality we've created is we make a distinction between being a professional and being a person. So if you tell me you have a professional who doesn't know how to give and receive feedback, I tell you, I think we're more likely to have a human being who doesn't know how to do that well. Because if they did, then it would be a question of you choosing not to do it here. I don't think it's a choice anymore. I think we just don't know how to do it. We don't know. That's not a fair answer to your question. It's not, but that's been my experience. If you really want to know what I think about me, about you, I think, okay, let me try to give you an answer to your question. If you would convince me you were serious about wanting my feedback, if you took the time to think about your own view of yourself, you know where I've been thinking about myself, and I wondered if sometimes I might not be as thoughtful as I'd like to be. So you then give me a context in which to respond to. Then I say to myself, this person's made an investment. They're working hard on learning about themselves, and they're giving me the opportunity to give them a gift of my perception of how they think about themselves. If you walk in and you say, you know, what do you think about me? That doesn't tell me you're invested at all. And so why should I think about how to do it?
Yep.
The other is a challenge I have to take on as a feedback giver. And this is a quote that a female psychiatrist from Germany made that I've never forgotten. She said that honesty without compassion and understanding is not honesty at all. It's masked hostility. It takes nothing for me to say to you, that's the worst cake I've ever tasted in my life, which is probably true. But that has no benefit potential for you ever. On the other hand, to say that's a great cake is a lie. So how do I frame the truth of what that experience was for me in a way that is received by you with at least a degree of passion? So when I say to the people who I try to teach, if I don't have an uncomfortable feeling in the pit of my stomach at the thought of giving you some difficult feedback, it's a signal to me to keep my mouth shut. It means I'm out of touch with what it'll feel like to receive it, because I've done what most senior executives pride themselves on doing. I don't want you to take this personally. You don't want me to take this personally. Who do you think you're talking to, a robot?
Yep, they have to be empathetic.
The E word.
Yeah.
Right, or they have to feel.
Yeah.
Feel is another what I call a four-letter F word in industry, not the one that most people would assume is that.
And the introspective part of it, and looking at yourself and your own behavior first,
Right.
to open the door for feedback. So there's an individual role in it. We can't wait for it. We have to act. We have to take
You
the
can't
initiative.
get it without wanting it. You can't use it if you didn't want it with an openness.
Yeah.
So if you really want it, do some work to get ready for it. If you really want to, give me some help on how to give it to you. Those are all skills we can learn. They're not skills we've learned.
Yeah.
They're learnable. They're absolutely learnable. Children know them intuitively. Children are incredible feedback seekers and feedback givers until the adult world starts to mess it up.
Because they're in touch, right?
They're in touch. They're in touch in the moment. I didn't like that, Mommy. And what? I'm sorry you didn't like it. You still have to drink it. That's okay too. Just because you didn't like it doesn't mean it's going to change.
Yeah.
But at least you told me you didn't like it.
That's awesome. The honesty with care and
Honesty with
compassion.
Honesty with compassion.
Any other wisdom you'd like to share with us?
If you expect it to be easy, let me put it another way. I have given up on the wish that understanding the theory and understanding this and understanding that should make it possible for me to do it all the time perfectly. That's not the way it is. The delusion of perfection is the most inhuman thing I believe we impose upon ourselves. It's my imperfections that allow me to be human. Without my imperfections, I would not learn humility. I would not learn tolerance. I would not learn patience. All the things presumably that make me a human being as opposed to a God. I believe that. Do I actually want to believe it all the time? No, I'd like to be perfect sometimes too. But the gap between, oh, you want to be perfect, and letting go of that is getting shorter as I get older.
We're here to learn.
I think so. I think that's what we were born to do.
Yeah.
We were born to do it.
Okay. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. And you did what I asked you to do, was to just not give me a heads up so I could be who I was. And that to me was, as I think back on it, a wonderful example of what you were talking about. You asked me how you could be helpful. I told you how you could be helpful to me. You delivered it. And I had some fun. I don't know about you, but this was wonderful for me to just be able to talk to you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Likewise. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.